Lisa Teh, welcome. Good to see you. Smiling as always.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to have a chat,
Amazing.
Daniel.
It's always amazing to have people with a really good energy on and chat and learn. One thing that we want to do is make sure that we give one thing to someone out there and brighten someone's day and bring a bit of awesomeness to it. So what better person to do that than you?
Woohoo! Oh, no pressure.
No pressure at all. And now my first question for you is, how are you going with your meditations?
Wow, it's a really hard one to start with. That's a tough one.
Yes, because
Look,
we've spoken about this, and you've said that it's you're one of those people that thinks a lot and moves a lot, and finds it hard to just sit.
yeah, it's funny because the thought of look, and someone actually, uh, so someone that we're working with, a lovely lady called Linda Belly, actually, she created a meditation room in the city, or a whole
Right.
meditation, almost sanctuary in the city called the Cocoon Room.
Yeah,
And we were talking to her the other week, and she said, doing nothing is still doing something. Because I was explaining the challenge of not feeling like I'm doing anything when I'm trying to relax and do nothing.
yeah,
So, look, it's a constant challenge for me because I feel like I can't switch my brain off. And we were having a chat the other day, and I go, what's on for you for the rest of the day? And you go, I'm about to do a 75-minute meditation. And that literally stressed me out, just thinking about doing nothing. Well, not nothing, but obviously not being on my phone or responding to emails or working for 75 minutes.
yeah,
So to answer your question, terribly.
yeah.
It's not going well. Uh, yeah, things are a bit crazy at the moment. So I am finding it challenging. But I will say, so you were kind enough to send me a fantastic meditation the other day.
Yes, I
And
did.
it was a breathing meditation.
Yep.
And it, to be honest with you, I was at first, because I've only done guided meditations, and I've actually done a hypnosis meditation before
Yes.
with my therapist, and that was incredible. So that was to help me overcome my fear of flying. So
Yes.
that worked really well for me. So I think I found that having someone that I knew guide me was a lot more effective than using those apps. So I think I just didn't end up using any of the apps. I just would listen to hers on repeat. But the one that you sent me, I thought was really interesting because it had no talking during it. It was pretty much like do 20 breaths and focus on the 20 breaths. And there was no pressure to focus on anything in particular.
Mm.
And what I realized was I loved the meditation where there was no talking. In
Yeah.
fact, I think back to other meditations, I go, oh, that talking's actually quite annoying.
Yeah, because you can get a part of the way through and you're like, you just shut up and let me just do what I got to do. What am I supposed to do here? I'm supposed to be zenning out or doing this or doing that. And if someone's constantly talking, you're like, okay, what are they going to say next? What did they just said? And you're trying to absorb all their shit. So just leave me alone.
Yes. And it almost makes you feel bad if you're not able to concentrate. Because I remember doing some of the headspace ones. They're like, focus on this for 10 breaths or, a minute or whatever. And then, of course, your mind wanders. And they're like, now make sure you bring it back if your mind wanders. I'm like, my mind wandered. Like, and then you just, like 2
It's
seconds in, I'm
gone.
like,
I
what
can't
am I
control
having
it.
for dinner? Should I
Yeah.
have pasta? you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you've actually been very good at holding me accountable for meditation. So I know that every time we chat, it's always good because you're always like, how's it going? Here's something that can help you if you're struggling. So
But
yeah.
it's an interesting thing to talk about with the challenge that you have, because so many people that I speak to have that same challenge, and so many people have that same response where they're like, yeah, but I can't sit still. And if I do sit still,
Mm,
then my mind is racing.
mm,
And trying to understand that, for me, it's been so long since I've been in that space, but even still now, like I'll sit in my meditation, and I think I was telling you the other day, like 75 minutes is a long time, but it's almost as if my body wants to move, or it wants to, I'll
yes.
feel an itch or this or that. And I'm like, all right, just shut up and just
Mm.
stay here for a bit, and having that discipline. But for someone like you who is so go, 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 how do you, what are the things that go through your head to try and stop yourself and just sit there?
Oh, that is a constant challenge, to be honest with you. And I don't know how to calm my mind or quieten it. It's just constantly like I woke up in the middle of the night last night And then I was just thinking about all this stuff, and it's almost like, it's not that it's loud in my mind, but it's really hard to just turn it off and go back to sleep when that happens. So I always try and make sure I exercise every day, just so say if I'm trying to go to sleep, I actually feel tired, because I think people like you and I, we actually have a lot of energy. So it can be quite challenging trying to even just rest our mind and bodies at night. So exercise to me is crucial. It's really crucial. Spending time away from my phone is important. Do I do it?
Well, for everyone who doesn't know, you are like the queen of Melbourne in digital marketing.
Oh yeah, look, I'm obsessed with social media.
So that goes hand in hand with what you're doing. So trying to pull yourself away from that is a massive challenge. And funnily enough, when we had Ange on last week, we were having the same chat, and she said, I don't go on my phone a lot. She said, but I love social media.
Yeah. And I think for me, it doesn't feel like work, because I actually genuinely, I sound really sad now, but I love what I do. And I love my job. I love my clients, I love my team. So I don't feel like I need to separate myself from that or draw myself away from that. In fact, I love doing it because it gives me energy. And I listened to this great podcast by Jay Shetty last year, and he was saying, where you can pick enlightenment over entertainment. So pick learning about something over just sitting there and watching, a crappy TV show, and you'll find that actually gives you energy. So
getting something out of it, because you get momentum from that sort of stuff. You get inspired, and then you want to push on.
Yeah.
And I was having a chat with Steve Napolitan the other day, and was saying the same thing. And we were talking about the new business venture that we're going into. And I said to him, I know there's going to be a lot of hard work, and I'm not afraid of the hard work. And he said, whoa, stop. He said, why are you telling yourself that it's going to be hard when you never look at anything as if it's going to be hard? I'm like, you're right. Why am I? And why do we always use words like that and straight away put hard in front of it? When, like you just said, it's not hard because you love what you do, and it doesn't even feel like a job.
Yeah. So it's actually not even hard work, because it doesn't feel like work. It's just something that you do, that you enjoy. So, I feel that we're both it definitely comes with sacrifices, but we're both very fortunate that we are doing something that we love every day, because not everyone is that fortunate, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's seeing through those that it's not difficult. It's just a challenge. But, who is not up for a challenge? Like, everyone loves a challenge.
People are afraid to fail, though. I think that's the biggest, because I get a lot of messages on social, because I'm obviously very active on LinkedIn especially, and people always go, I want to post, but I'm too scared, or, I want to do this with my business or do a career change, but I'm too scared. So there's a massive fear of failure out there. And I think that stops a lot of people from going for things. So, I think for me, I'm not afraid to fail. And I would say that's probably the same.
It's a part of growth, isn't it? Like, failure is a part of growth.
It's life. Like, if you're not failing, you're not working hard enough. You're not taking enough risks.
You're not growing.
You're not growing. So, I think not failing is actually the bad thing here. Do
you think that there's a massive part of that too that's ego driven? Because people always associate ego with, if you're egotistical or you're cocky or you're arrogant, but really, for me, like, what I've discovered is that your ego can be exactly that. Like, you think about putting a post on LinkedIn or whatever social platform, and your ego will say, no, don't put that on, because if you put that on, people are going to think this, or they're going to say that. Yes. So, because you've worked with us on a lot of our social stuff, and it was absolutely, the stuff that you gave us was brilliant. How do you coach people through that?
Yeah, well, look, I actually find it quite enjoyable, because I remember when we first started, like, you understand the power of social. So for me, like, that's already exciting, because you know that there's potential out there. You just have to get active and get people seeing you. And, I think for me, like, I'm very, I think we're both similar in personalities. Like, we're both very optimistic, and we like to see the opportunity. We don't like to see, I guess, like, not the danger, but the downside in life. So for me, encouraging people to post is, something that I'm really passionate about, because I've personally seen the amazing benefits from it, for my business, me personally, meeting amazing people. Like, that's how we met, actually, on LinkedIn, you and I. So I just think, God, if you can have these amazing opportunities, meet these amazing people, why wouldn't you give yourself the best opportunity to do that? And posting will really help you in that space. And I always say that no matter whether you're a person or you're a business, first and foremost, and I got this from Gary Vee, think of yourself as a media company, because if you're not telling people what you're doing, then they don't even know that you exist, or they don't know the amazing things that you and your team are doing. So you need to be actively telling them. And the problem is, if you're not going to be out there talking, then your competitors will be, and they're the ones that are going to get opportunities because they'll be top of mind.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people are really concerned about what other people think. And look, I'm under no illusion that there's probably a whole lot of people out there who wish I never discovered LinkedIn, and probably like, oh my God, not her posting again. But for me, I'm like, firstly, I don't even know. Like, I mostly get a lot of positivity on my channels, because I think that's the energy that I put out. But secondly, I'm not here to try and please everyone. I'm here to spread a positive message, spread optimism, share knowledge, encourage people around me who need that encouragement. And that's really my purpose. So I'm not going to let the potential, negative comments or people's negative perceptions stop me from doing what I want to achieve in the world. Because then I think I just sit in my bedroom and do nothing there.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And through all of that, I'm sure you would see and have some amazing experiences with people like building their business, but not only just building the business, but also building themselves and creating growth and change within themselves. And that's an amazing and a beautiful thing to be part of, right?
Oh, like that. Look, it's honestly, it's interesting that you say that, because I've been reflecting a lot on this lately. And I understand that. I mean, it sounds like we're just doing digital marketing and it's fluffy, and we're not saving lives by any stretch of the imagination, but we have a massive responsibility to understand a brand or a person's values and communicate them in the digital world. And I don't take that responsibility lightly. Like, I think that's an amazing privilege to have. And even, working with business owners such as yourself, like, a lot of people would love to be mentored by people who have achieved your level of success. But the reality is, you have a limited amount of time in your day. So you can't necessarily have a coffee with every single person. But what we can do is extract that amazing knowledge from your head and put it out to people at scale, so you can actually help the business community at scale. So for me, what an amazing role to play in actually helping you inspire a whole new generation of entrepreneurs, or a whole new, a lot of business people who are maybe going on or taking their first steps in their business journey, or people who are, at similar levels to you and want to go to the next level like you're doing. So that's an incredible privilege. And I definitely feel very fortunate to have been able to do that. But yes, incredible opportunities to be had.
And it's an exciting environment too, yeah, because you're constantly around people that you're engaging with and creating this amazing energy, and building on this and building on that, and then you see the growth that they go through and that their business goes through. There's that energy that's required to A, encapsulate all of that, and then B, transfer it to them, and then C, to see them all exploding with that energy.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah, it's crazy, because I think, I'm like, when I did my first post, I just thought, is anyone even going to look at this? Probably not. And I don't even know if anyone looked at my first couple of posts, but I just kept doing it. I don't know why, I just kept going. But I look back at, I started posting pretty consistently about 10 months ago. And I look back at the amazing position I'm in personally, my business has been in, the opportunities I've got in that space of time. Yeah. And that's why I'm so, I'm not aggressive in forcing people to post. For some people, like, yeah,
passionate. You're very passionate. Yeah.
Because I've personally seen how quickly growth can come and opportunities can come for people if they can get active consistently. Now, I see a lot of people when they do one post and I didn't go viral, I'm going to give up. I'm like, you got to be consistent. It's not going to happen overnight. But if you can stay consistent, you've got a consistent message, then amazing things can happen.
But people listen, don't they? People listen. People want to listen. People want to hear the story, but they also want to share the experience.
Yes.
And that's one massive thing that we got from you when we're working with you, that sharing that experience, people want to be part of that experience. People want to see the highs and the lows and all the stuff that you're going through. And that's probably to my next question is, starting your business and starting where you started from. You've obviously got a few different businesses and a lot of different things that you're doing. You're a very, very busy lady.
Like to keep out of trouble.
Yes. How many ups and downs and how many challenges have you gone through along that time? And how do you, as you're going through a challenge, what do you do to get through it?
Yeah, that's actually a very good question because, look, I think I'm very fortunate, and I think you and I are probably aligned in our way of approaching the world and seeing the world. Like, I'm very much an optimist. And I was listening to a great podcast, actually. I'll send it to you after this call last night. It was about optimism, and it was talking about grounded, like being a grounded optimist. And like they said that, being an optimist, this person said, means that you believe that every experience, good and bad, that you go through will make you a better person.
Yeah.
And I really believe that. And they were talking about the difference between optimism and positivity.
Yeah.
So positivity is, they were saying, is something where you look at the world and it's almost like you have a blind faith that everything's going to be okay. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but the reality is there are going to be challenges, roadblocks, kind of like what we're going through at the moment. Like, it's really hard. So optimism is acknowledging that there are challenges, acknowledging that there are going to be difficult times, but you move through and you can see a light at the end of the tunnel. And that's what I really believe is one of my, I guess, what's part of my DNA. Like, I'm really very much a glass half full person. So whenever I've encountered challenging times in my business, so for example, during Corona, like there were times where I just thought, is this business even going to survive? We're going to make it through, because we had no idea what
Scary,
was
right?
going to happen. So scary. And I feel like, for me, I'm in a very fortunate position because I can still operate. And I can still have my team working from home, but I have a lot of friends in hospital and they're really hurting because they can't operate, and they're desperately doing everything they can to keep their business afloat, their team employed. And a lot of them have put all of their money and all their savings into trying to make these businesses work. And hospital is tough at the best of times, let alone during a pandemic. So
absolutely.
Yeah, so for me, when I go through tough times, I really try where possible to focus on positives, because I see that there's always, my friend Nick Bell, give him a shout out.
G'day, Nick.
Not a shout out, but he always talks about finding an angle. And because I was talking to him the other day, I was like, don't you ever feel pressure or stress or anything? He goes, no, I don't think. Like, he actually goes, it's not part of my DNA, because I always know there's an angle. There's always a way out. So you just have to look hard enough to find it. And I really do believe that there is always something, something positive in a situation. You just have to look hard enough to find it.
Do you think that that some people, and I definitely believe this about myself, have got this kind of innate ability to be able to see a roadmap that a lot of other people can't see?
Yes, definitely. And I really do believe, because we're looking for positivity and we're looking for opportunities, that allows us to almost block out, not block out necessarily, like we see the roadblocks and we see the challenges, but we don't let them get us down. So I think a lot of other people only see the challenges, and that's where they run into problems, because then it doesn't, like, if you imagine like you're looking down a tunnel and there's all these challenges physically like blocked up, it's like, you don't see a light there because all the challenges are blocking that. Whereas we go, yep, they're there, but we can move them out of the way and go, yep, no, we can see the light and we can get to there.
I think it's too, like, and I say this to a lot of people, it's a lot of people say, okay, well, this is what I want, and it's down here, but then they look at all the stuff that's got to go along with that and all the little roadblocks and all the hurdles, exactly like what you were just saying. So their focus becomes more so about each step that they've got to take along the way, and then that thing that's over there becomes so hard and so convoluted because you've just put 100 steps into place. Where what Mark and I do is we just say, okay, well, this is what we want. What's the first step? And start there. Yeah. Because from number 1 to number 100, if that's how many steps you've got to take, those steps from 1 to 100 change on a daily basis. They change. And when you get to the end of it, you're like, holy shit, the trajectory and the path that we had along the way, what we thought it was going to be is nowhere what it is now. Yeah. Completely different. So is that something, the process that you go through as well?
Yeah, definitely. And, I don't even know who said, what was that amazing quote? It's like, every journey starts with a single step. Was it Confucius? I don't know.
We'll put it down to Confucius. We'll give it to him.
That poor guy must be rolling over in his grave. He's like, I never said that. That was Elvis. That was Elvis. So that was someone else. Like, stop attributing all these points to me.
That was from a Bob Dylan song.
Yeah, that's right. That's from a bloody Taylor Swift song. Don't say that I said that. But it's so true. You know, I think that, you know, firstly, it's being able just to start. And that's the biggest challenge I think a lot of people face, because they just talk themselves out of it because, you know, like you were saying, they look at the 100 steps and they go, oh, that's just way too hard. Like, I don't even know where to start. So starting's definitely part of the challenge. But one way to overcome that feeling of being overwhelmed is have the right people around you. Like,
I was going to ask you, that was my next question.
Oh,
Is it about
same
surrounding yourself
wavelength.
with the right people, and who do you surround yourself with? Because that's super
Amazing.
important, right?
Oh my God, it's the key. Like, you know, I'm a crazy, crazy person. You know, I've got a million ideas, you know, at any one time. And I always rush into things. I've got a crazy sense of urgency, which can often land me in all sorts of trouble. But I have an incredible team, and they really keep me on track, and they allow me to execute things, like execute my ideas and do it in a way that's where the chances of success is significantly higher than if I was trying to just rush into it and do it myself.
Yeah.
So especially my head of ops, Lana, she's like an absolute gun. Like, she keeps me in line. Like, I always joke that she's like actually the boss of the company, because I'm just like, I'll do anything. Yep, no worries. Happy to do anything you say.
Yeah.
So yeah, having people like that around it's super important, because I'm very aware of my strengths and I'm very, very aware of my weaknesses, and God, there's a lot of them. But I'm very much all about, you know, being a strength-based business and finding people around me who can make up for my very many weaknesses with their strengths. So
Because you can't do everything, right? And that's, you know, people will often go into a startup or go into a business and you know, Mark and I say this to people so often that it's not funny, that they start with 2 or 3 things that they're super good at. And that's what's given them that drive and that passion to start that business. And then as they start, they end up doing 7 or 8 other things that they're
yes,
not good at, that they're shit at.
yeah,
And you know, the 3 things that they're really powerful at, they just get, you know, pushed to the side, and then 12 months later, like, shit, what's going on with the business? Why isn't it working? But the skill sets that they've got are not being worked on at all. And you know, that creativity in a business, which, you know, especially for your business, I think for most businesses, it's super critical. But
yeah,
if you weren't being creative, then you know, how does everything you do come to fruition, and how does it become the best if
yes.
you're executing on stuff that you're not really that good at, or you don't really love doing?
Exactly. And the thing is, I can't remember where I heard this, but it's it's a much shorter and less painful journey to go from good to great than it is to go from terrible, which is where I am with process, to good, like, and then to great. It's like virtually
Yeah.
probably not going to happen. Let's be
Yeah.
real here.
So you're not an executor.
No.
You're the creativity and the ideas, and then I need someone to, and I'm exactly the same, and Mark is exactly the same.
Yeah, but although it's actually quite funny, I was having this conversation with someone the other day because we were doing personality tests. I'm going to send you this amazing personality test by Adobe, and it's really visual. It's very beautiful. And I was doing the test and I did it, and I got the visionary. So it's like the person with all the crazy ideas. They can see an opportunity in every situation. I'm like, yeah, that's definitely me. But it's funny because, you know, I think in Cody, I'm definitely that person with the crazy ideas, and then the team can execute those ideas.
Yeah.
But then, you know, with other business partners, like say with Nick, for example, like I'm very much like doing some of the execution. So it's interesting to think that depending on the relationship and the opportunity, you might change. You know, you have the flexibility to change who that person is and what they're doing. So, like your personality type, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And just, so there's times where you're creative, but there's other times where you just know how to get shit done. So,
Yes.
okay, bang.
Yeah.
Here it is. Smash it out, get it done, and move on.
Yeah, and I think that it's good to be someone who can be flexible to those around you, because I think it is important to accept people for who they are, and I think that's one of the biggest gifts. Well, my partner actually taught me that, because I'm a crazy, messy person, for example, but not great with housework either.
Yeah, selling yourself is a real catch.
Yeah, can't good at everything. Definitely know my weaknesses, and that is one of them.
Yeah.
But he's been very accepting of a lot of my flaws, so to speak.
Yeah.
So, and that was the greatest gift that, you know, he gave me. So, or he gives me. So, for me, it's really important that I go, okay, well, I should try and accept everyone around me. Like, I'm not perfect myself, so why should I try and, you know, get everyone else to change?
We're all human, aren't we? And no one's perfect. And if you think you are, you're delusional. And I don't think,
Exactly.
you know, we're not geared to be perfect. We're not geared to be, you know, people that can just do everything and master all these sort of things. It's, you know, the whole thing is a journey, and you continue learning through that process. And
Yeah.
so talk to me about fears, because I know we were saying earlier about, you know, people not posting on social and this and that due to fears and ego. And you've told me that you've had some fears with public speaking.
Yeah, I'm not good at public speaking. And it's funny because people always go, oh, but I always thought you'd be good at it because you do all the LinkedIn vids. I'm like, yeah, but I'm talking to my phone. Like, I'm
Yeah.
talking, there's no one else there. It's just me. And then
Yeah.
when I say that, I go, I sound like a crazy person. Like every morning I'm just sitting there going, hey guys, today's topic I'm talking about XYZ. How embarrassing. I'm just like, oh my God, I sound actually nuts.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, fear I think is the thing that stops a lot of people. And I was actually talking to Laird Hamilton last week.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to know all
He,
about this after we talk about that.
yeah, he, look, and actually his book, I think it's called Life Board. I'm going to probably get the name totally
I'm
wrong.
writing that down right now.
Was really interesting because he talks about business, but in the concept of, you know, our physical well-being, our mental well-being. He talks about fear, he talks about death. And I think, wow, he's actually facing, every time he steps into the water, he's making life or death decisions.
100%.
So he could, you know, he's like, one of the waves he was on, like one of the biggest waves, 100-foot wave. It's like, I was sweating watching some of the big waves that he
Thinking
was
about
on.
it.
Yeah, sweating just thinking about it. And I just think, wow, like, isn't that incredible that, you know, we're sitting here in an office, quite safe a lot of the time,
Yeah.
making decisions that we're blowing up to be massive. And it's like, at the end of the day, it's not a life or death situation. It's not a life or death decision. It's really, we've made it huge in our mind. And the worst case scenario a lot of the time isn't actually that bad. So when I, going back to posting on social, and I was actually talking through someone who messaged me the other day through this. They go, yeah, I really want to post on social, but I'm too scared to. And I go, okay, so let's break it down here. What worries you about posting on social? And they go, well, I'm worried that people are going to judge me and think, you know, that I'm crazy or that I don't know what I'm talking about. And I said, does that bother you? And she goes, I don't know, I guess maybe. And I said, can you control what other people think of you? And she goes, no. Then I said, well, should you worry about it then? And she goes, no, because I can't control it. And I said, exactly right. So we can't control what other people's opinions are. All we can control is what we choose to do with the information that we can't control a lot of things. So, and I think for her, that was almost like a light bulb moment where she's like, shit, I really, like, why am I bothering about things that I can't control? And for me, I think learning that, and my therapist actually said to me, she goes, people have this perception that they're in control. You're in control of nothing other than how you choose to react to situations. And for me, that was such a mind-blowing piece of information because I thought, that's so true. And that's why people feel like they're spiraling out of control when they have this perception that they've lost control, because they think that they were in control. It's like, you were never in control in the first place. So once you realize that, then you never almost feel out of control because you can't lose what you never had.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you think that with, you know, because you were saying before about your purpose, and then, you know, talking about Laird Hamilton, you know, it's facing that life and death challenge every time he does something. And it's a really interesting one that, you know, once you're committed to something that much, and once you've realized and said, okay, shit, this is my purpose in life.
Yeah.
That there's an extra part of commitment. You don't even know where it comes from.
Yeah.
And certainly when, you know, when you're in a position like Laird Hamilton, who's a renowned big wave surfer all over the world, it's a life and death. And that's his purpose in life, is to surf these massive waves and teach people about it and work through fears. And like you were saying, it's your purpose to give and to serve people and to challenge them and help them grow through these fears. Do you think that it's getting to a point where you've discovered that that is your purpose?
Definitely. And I look back and people always go, why did you start the company? And for me, it's always been about helping people. Like, I don't know, maybe I've got it from my parents, like a good Samaritan complex or something. Like, I just have this absolute desire to help people, probably to my own detriment a lot of the time, because I always overcommit and I want to help everyone I come across, because people have so much potential, and for whatever reason they don't believe in themselves, and I that makes me feel sad, because we can do anything we set our minds to. Like, there's literally nothing that we can't do. Like, if I wanted to surf 100-foot wave, I'm sure I'll work out a way if I wanted to do that. Probably don't. I don't have a death wish, so I probably won't be doing that anytime soon. But the humans are incredible. And he was talking about the human body, and I just thought, wow, I've never even thought about how amazing the human body is, because you look at shows like, say, Wolverine, or things like that, and you go, wow, he's healing himself so fast and blah blah blah. It's like, our body does that. Like, our body heals itself.
Absolutely.
That's like incredible. And I don't know why I never thought about it. I'm like, the human body is actually insanely amazing, and I think we just don't give it enough credit, and we don't, I guess, really realize how incredible our bodies are and our minds are, and we don't maximize it. So
it's it does it, and there's an amazing documentary, and I can't remember if I mentioned to you last time, on Netflix, called Heal.
No, right.
And it's exactly about that, and it's the relationship, and a lot of the stuff is with Dr. Joe Dispenza, who I know that you're getting right on board with at the moment as well.
Okay, yeah, okay. So continue on what you're saying. I've got to talk about something that he said.
Okay.
Effing interesting.
So Heal goes in and explores, and it goes through a few different people and follows their journey, or the journey they've had with some serious mental illness or serious physical illness, and how they've healed themselves. And it's not just about what we're putting into our body, but it's all these things up here, all the stories that we're telling ourselves, all the beliefs, all the bullshit that we've got, or all the stuff that we've held on to through childhood or through teenage years, and not admitted that to ourselves.
Oh, I know.
And releasing all of that negative energy that is, it's really attacking your body, but you've really got the power to heal yourself.
Yes. Isn't it insane? Like, it's crazy. And like, even thinking about childhood and the things that, the way we were brought up has such a massive impact on who we are today, scarily.
Yeah. And those limiting beliefs that someone has told us, oh, you'll never be good at that, you're not built to do this, or da. So you hold on to those things for a long time. Or someone, when you're a kid, has said, oh, but you're a bit cocky, you've got a bit of an ego, you're a bit arrogant, da. So then you shun yourself away, and you end up hiding away from all these things because you've taken that on as a belief and a limitation.
Exactly. And it's crazy, because you think, like, we're just doing this to ourselves. No one else is doing this. It's like we're
creating that environment. We're living in that environment and drawing all these external things and saying, well, this is my environment, when it's absolute bullshit. You've absolutely got the keys inside you to open any door you want.
Yes, exactly. I love that. I love that. Okay, I'm going to have to talk about this Dr. Joe thing, because someone was talking to me about it the other day. I was like, oh my God, Daniel's like onto this guy from ages ago.
Yes.
But she was telling me that your mind is so crazy that it can't tell whether you're actually experiencing something or reliving an experience. And I just thought that like blew my mind, because think about times when, say, for example, you felt physically sick. So I don't know, maybe it was like, you had a massive night, you had one too many tequila shots, and then you're like, throwing up or something. So not that I speak from personal experience.
Well, you're a non-drinker.
Yeah, non-drinker. So I've had a couple of bad episodes of that, big nights. But yeah, I actually don't drink. I don't drink alcohol. So the weird thing is, sometimes, when you're recalling these moments, or say, for example, when I've had a really bad flight, when I used to have travel anxiety, and I would think back to that time and I would feel physically sick. So I wouldn't be experiencing the, being sick on the plane or feeling really nauseous. But like, if I recall that moment and recall that feeling, I can make myself feel physically sick again. But I'm not experiencing that. It's just my mind is remembering that situation. And I thought, that's insane. Like, that our mind and body, like our mind can really play tricks on us. So, think, all the times when you might be thinking about public speaking, and I've like done a lot of work trying to get over this fear, but I remember thinking back, thinking about, oh my God, I've got a talk coming up. Oh my God, my heart's starting to race. I'm starting to feel sweaty. Oh
Yeah.
my God, if I stuff up, and like I start to make myself feel physically ill.
Because
And
you're creating that experience by
yes,
thinking about it. So so once you send it from here, you're sending it to your body, and your body starts to feel that same experience.
yes, but your mind, like you're not actually experiencing it. Like I'm not doing the talk at the moment. I just am thinking about doing it, or thinking about an experience.
Yeah.
So,
Well, so that brings me to another point is with the COVID stuff and the lockdown, and a lot of people are going through some really heavy depression and heavy anxiety and all that sort of stuff. And I've noticed that and I did a bit of study on it because some people around me have been really affected by it. And one of the things that they said was, dogs are the greatest companion and the greatest aid if you've got anxiety or if you've got depression, because it gives you something else to care about other than yourself and be stuck in those thoughts. Have you found anyone or know anyone or been working with people that have gone through a lot of depression and anxiety, and what do you do to help them?
yeah, look, that's a really hard question, because I think a lot of people are going through that at this very moment, and it's not going to be something that's going to be, fixed anytime soon. I think mental health is going to be a huge challenge for a lot of people in the coming years. And I actually think about the mental health impact on children, who are not even able to see their friends and associate, or build that social skills because they're all at home. But look, going back to dogs, honestly, having a dog is one of the best things you can do, because they not only make you view the world in a different way, but they get you out and about, because you take them for a walk. So sometimes just getting out of your environment, especially if you're living somewhere where you are pretty much eating, sleeping, living where you work, it can be just overwhelming. So having a dog for me is like, Wolfie's been amazing. So I take her for a walk in the morning. Sometimes I'll take her for a walk at lunch, take her for a walk at night. And she's just been fantastic just to get my mind off work for a second, because I look at her and I just look at how much fun she's having just chasing a stick, and how happy she is to see people. And dogs really teach you a lot about acceptance, and even like the way they just run up to everyone in the park, like they don't care about how old you are, what you look like, what your ethnicity is, where you're from, what you do. They just want to give love and be loved, and that's really their purpose. And
well, that's what life is about, really, isn't it? Like when you break it down. It's just about sharing experiences and sharing love with everyone. And you're right, dogs do it amazingly.
Yeah, and even how, and I'm sure you find this as well, you might be in, like, say, I go from one door, like, maybe the back door to the other door, or I might go outside for 2 seconds with the rubbish out, and then I'll come back in, and Wolfie's just like, oh my God, I've seen you for ages. And like, it's literally been 5 seconds. I just put the rubbish out. But that enjoyment, just that happiness and that genuine
to be
happiness,
that excited all the time, it's amazing.
It teaches you a lot as a human. Because I remember, sometimes I'd be working late, my partner would come home from work and he'd be like, hey, I'm home. And I'm like, hey, and I just like not even say anything. And then I see how much joy Wolfie gets and runs up to him and is like, oh my God, hi, you're home. And I'm like, oh, that teaches me. It's like, because there's no guarantee that your partner comes home at the end of work every night, for example. Like, and I think we almost get so caught up in all our own shit that you forget, like, it's actually exciting to see your partner, or exciting to see your friends or your family.
And why not? Why keep that limitation of because people, like, sometimes, like, I'm an excitable person, and I can get excitable to a point where I can get a little bit annoying. And people often are like, all right, just calm down, because you're being annoying now and you're annoying the shit out of me, just back off. But, I can't help doing that. And the times where I've like, and I'll get a little bit, okay, well, I just won't go near that person for a bit. And then I feel a bit down for, and you can absolutely see that with dogs too. Like, if you're like, just go on, just leave me alone, blah, blah, blah. And you see them just like, but
I know.
Enjoy those moments. And if the people don't want to be around that and don't want to be excited by it, or if you're being a bit annoying, they're like, you're annoying, choose someone else to hang out with. Choose people that are going to really enjoy that energy, because it's too easy to lose that.
Yeah. And look, definitely the people that you hang out with is crucial, because they're going to be people that either accept you for who you are and appreciate that amazing energy, or they won't, and they'll be focused on themselves. And I think obviously we all have to focus on ourselves at some point, but not at the expense of focusing on others and caring about others. So being around the right people is actually life changing. So I think it's super important to make sure that you are around people who are going to feed your positive energy, not suck you dry and just be a massive drain. And it's funny because there's a quote that talks about, like, you can really tell what an influence a person is on your life by how you feel when you leave them. And people who make you feel really drained and exhausted, it's like they're not feeding your energy, like they're not feeding your positivity. Whereas people that, when you leave them, you feel, oh my God, I'm so excited, I feel energetic, I can take on the world. Like,
It's the best, yeah.
like, why would you not want to be around that? And I think,
all the time.
yeah, and people like that, I really feel that they've taken responsibility to be that way and view the world in a certain way. And going back to your question about how do you help people who are maybe going through a challenging time and going through depression, it's like you can be there as much as you want to, but it's really the responsibility of the person to either seek help or invest in themselves to change their outlook of the world. Because, like, I invest a lot in my mental health. Like, I see a therapist and she's really changed my life. Like, she's made me so much more mentally stronger. I do a lot of work just, self-learning, trying to make myself the best person I can be. I try and make sure that I'm not losing sight of what's important, like caring about others. So I think, for a lot of people, it's like, yeah, you can sit around and feel depressed, and, sometimes it is, to do with clinical depression, so you might require medication. But if it's something that's a mindset, then you need to take responsibility and say, I need to actively take steps to improve my mindset. Otherwise, it can be a very slippery slope and a really,
absolutely,
you can fall into a very deep hole if you don't take steps to make sure that you're actively moving forward rather than slipping further and further into the hole.
And like a lot of the time too, like a lot of people that I speak to, it's just a change of environment.
Yes.
Or a change of like we were saying before, change of routine and change the people that you're hanging out with. Or, go for a walk with someone. Like I was feeling, what's today, Tuesday? I was feeling super flat yesterday morning after all this announcement with the Andrews government. And, thinking about, the team and how it's impacting our team and what we can do. And so I went to a park and I went for a super long walk. I met our GM, Rick. He had his dogs, and by the time we'd finished the walk, just being out in nature and just breathing in the fresh air and just hanging out with the dogs, I felt amazing again. And it just takes that one thing to just click, and you can totally change that environment. But and sometimes it's just reaching out and picking up the phone and talking to someone through, what's going on, because everyone's been through it.
Definitely. And it's good because you're obviously very aware of, say, I guess, signs that you're going down a path where it's like, I'm feeling really flat. And if I don't fix something and change something or do something, I'm not going to be able to snap out of it. And it can quickly get to, a very dark place. So good on you and I know you do a lot of work investing in yourself and investing in being the best version of you that you can be. So like, real credit to you, because it's not an easy journey. Well, it's not an easy journey.
No, it's not.
When you reflect and you go, wow, there's a lot of, damage here. Not damage, but,
sometimes, well, the things that the things that you start pulling out of yourself and seeing, and you're like, holy shit, there's a point where it starts getting really challenging, because you're learning so much about all this bullshit that you've been hanging on to. And there's times where I'm just thinking, oh man, I just want to quit. I just want to stop. I just want to get out of this meditation and just do this and do that and da. But when you know that you hold on to that and just stay in there, and then you come out, you're like, oh my God, that's just changed. And I've just realized that I've been holding on to this and this and this for no reason at all.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. And you're able to push yourself so much more than you realize. And someone told me the other day that, when you say, that's it, I'm done, apparently you still have 30% left to go. So it's like, don't give up then. You still can go further. It's just your body's way of going, hey, look, you're not at the end yet, but you're getting close. Just be aware that, you still got a little bit way to go. Whereas I feel like when people go, oh, I'm done, that's it, and then they just give up. Yeah. So I think it's really just being aware that you can still push yourself further. And that's really where you're going to grow. Like, if you stay in your comfort zone, that's like the worst place to be, your comfort zone. If you're comfortable, then you're not doing
boring.
something. Oh God, don't even get me started on the whole comfort zone thing. Like, the whole other conversations, the whole podcast topic just on getting out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
But really, if you're living in your comfort zone, then you're not, it's like, what's the point of even living? You're not living, like, to be honest with you, because you're not growing, you're not pushing yourself, you're not seeing what's out there, not seeing what you're actually capable of.
Mm.
So, yeah, that's
There was
one of the things that scares me the most.
when we had a chat with Graham Home from Infinity Group a couple of weeks ago. He had something really interesting to say, and Josh, maybe you can find this while I'm blabbering away about it, because I know that I'm going to get it wrong. But he said the mantra that they have in their business, and I think it goes like this. But Josh will let me know if I'm right or wrong. If it's not okay, it's not finished, or if it's not okay, you're not done.
Yeah.
So the point of it was, if it feels shit or it doesn't feel okay, it's not finished. So keep pushing through and keep pushing through and keep pushing through. And then when it feels okay, you're at the end.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can move on to
because
something else.
Correct. And people get to a certain point and they'll be like, this is not working. This doesn't feel okay. So I'm just going to drop it and go to something else.
Yeah.
Where what he's saying is, Josh just said, bang on. Thanks, man.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. That's what he's saying is, if it doesn't feel okay, keep pushing through it. Keep until it feels okay. And I thought that was such an amazing thing that he brought up, and it's so simple.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's all these things that, like, I completely agree with what he's saying, because I think people give up when things get too hard. And it's like, there's so much more benefit to be gained from pushing through. So if you if you can keep going, you will definitely have a much better life. Like, you'll actually live an amazing life.
You find so much more. Like, I did it just last week. I did this simple challenge, and I didn't even know why I did it. I'm fortunate enough to have like a little gym set up in my house. So I was doing a workout, and then at the end of the workout, I had the medicine ball, and I was doing those side brush and twists or whatever they're called.
Oh, yes.
So I was doing those, and I got to 10. I'm like, all right, stop. And I was going to do 4 sets or something. And I thought, what would happen if I just kept going until I couldn't do one more?
Yeah.
And just kept pushing and kept pushing. So I kept pushing, and 10, 12, 20, and then I was knackered, so I stopped. And then I do it again and get to 20 again, and then do it again and get to 25. Do it again. And it took me an extra 25 minutes to get to the point where I could lift the ball and I could just get one, and I was done. But I was happy before that to just do 4 sets of 10 and be done. But it just proved to me that I can do so much more. Like, I literally probably did another 80 on top of what I was going to do. So there's so much more in the tank that you can do with absolutely everything in life.
Yeah, we give up way too easily.
Yeah, but it's a challenge. You've got to be willing and wanting to push yourself through those boundaries.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's the hard thing. That's why not everyone's successful, unfortunately, in life, because they're not willing to go the extra mile. They're not willing to put in the extra effort. Like, they give up at the first sign of things being difficult. And, that really separates the strong from the weak, unfortunately. So,
and look, that's okay too, if that's how people are geared and that's what they want to do. And some people are like, well, I don't want all this stuff and I don't want this. Cool, no issue. But for the people that do, you can absolutely, like what you were saying, you think you've got it here, keep pushing until you're way up here, and then see how different things are, or how different you are, and how much you've changed and grown. Like, it's massive.
Yeah, it's huge. And I think it's incredible. I think we don't spend enough time looking back on all the things that we have achieved and going, hey, for a second, I'm going to pause and go, wow, I've actually done a lot. Like, a lot of us have actually led a company through a pandemic, or survived through a pandemic, and, been there to support those around us through one of the most challenging times a lot of us will live through.
Yeah.
And like, we don't take time to reflect on everything that we've achieved. And sometimes I think you need to do that to give you a little bit of, a boost to sometimes keep going when times are tough, and go, I remember that feeling when I did achieve that, or I did do that. And that's something that can help, give you a bit of extra,
celebrating those milestones, isn't it? And even a small one to reflect on is looking and saying, I've had a business open for more than 2 years, because most businesses fail in the first year.
Yeah,
that's a huge success to even just do that. And so
I think we're similar. Like, we like to celebrate. Like,
we have to, because if you're not, you're not giving yourself the acknowledgement. You just and Mark and I used to do it all the time. We just achieve something, go, okay, next, okay, next, okay, next, and then we're like, whoa. Look at all the things we've achieved. Because if we don't look at those things, how can we be building up and pushing to the next level? Because we're just so busy grinding and getting to the next thing. That reflection is super important for everything that we do as people and in business.
Yeah, look, I definitely agree with that. And I don't think and look, maybe you and I are like, we celebrate too much, maybe. I don't know.
That's
Because I'm like,
actually,
oh my God, just did this little tiny thing. This is exciting. And everyone else is like, really? That's not that exciting. I'm like,
yeah, but
it's
see,
exciting.
on that point, everything is a success. And Steve Knapp, a good mate of mine, he was saying, and we were talking about anxiety and depression, and he said, celebrate the smallest things. And
Yeah.
he's such a cool, kooky guy. And he's like, when you get up in the morning, he said, if you're feeling depression, he said, brush your teeth. And like, yeah, just brush
Yeah.
my teeth.
Yeah.
Success. My
Yeah.
teeth are clean.
Yeah.
So it can be celebrating those really small things as
Yeah.
well.
That's actually a really good LinkedIn post. I'm going to steal that. I'm going to credit you.
Just tag him into it and say I stole that off you.
No, actually, I'm going to do a post about it because I think that's a really great topic, especially now when everyone feels like everything's really overwhelming. Obviously, the news is that we're going into, another extended lockdown,
Lockdown. Yeah.
and for a lot of businesses, that's devastating.
Yeah.
My heart goes out to all of them, especially, like hospital and small business.
Yeah.
And like the optimist in me is like, there is an end. Like there just has to be. Like I look around
Yeah,
the world and go,
absolutely.
there is an end. Like it's not like I look at Ebola and I just go, shit, that was a 90% fatality rate. Like we're actually, not to say fortunate, but it could have been a
Way
virus that
worse.
was, yeah, that could actually wiped out the human race.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, I look at it and go, look, like, yes, things are terrible. Don't get me wrong. And this is not to diminish the challenges that people have. But I
Yeah.
think when you focus on, like you try and focus on, say, like what you're saying, the little wins, like you
Mm.
realize that even just getting up is a little win. Getting about your
100%.
day,
Yeah.
making, ticking things off your to-do list, those are all wins,
Yeah.
because the alternative is you could be lying in bed and not being able to get out because you're upset or you're feeling down.
There's some people that tomorrow's not guaranteed.
Yes. Yeah.
Like we're fortunate that we go to bed every night. We don't, and I said this the other week, I've got all my limbs, I've got all my fingers, my arms, my legs.
Yeah.
I've got as much of my sanity as, probably not, there's not a lot of sanity there, but, but, for the most part, I get to sit on my balcony and watch the sunrise and the sunset every day, and just those small, beautiful things that they put such a smile on my face, and appreciating
Exactly.
those small things.
And it's being grateful, and I think like there is a lot to be grateful for, and we are in a fortunate country where, there is a lot of support from the government, because a lot of other countries don't have that. So there is a lot to be grateful for. Obviously it is challenging, but where possible, I think we do need to not lose sight of that, because the minute you do and you lose sight of all the little wins, like then all the losses can just seem overwhelming.
Absolutely. So do you steer clear of being in marketing and digital marketing? Do you steer clear of radio and news and the TV and all that sort of, because I know it would be hard, right?
It is, look, it is definitely challenging, because part of me, like, a big part of me has to know what's going on for my business and just for general knowledge. I want to be educated in, my opinions on things, and learn and absorb as much information as I can. So I can, if someone asks me for my opinion on something, I can do my best to at least give I guess an opinion that's considered lots of different arguments.
Yeah.
But for me personally, it is hard consistently seeing a lot of negativity. So I try and get what I need out of it, like the facts and what's happening, and then focus on positive things. So even on my channel, it's like, it's hard because I don't want to pretend that there's not a problem. Like I'm not here to, go, hey, the world's amazing, it's fantastic. But I have to be true to myself, and I'm a very optimistic person. So I do want to be a place where, if you want that escape from the, the news and the devastation and the negativity, then come to my, come to my LinkedIn, because I'm probably going to be trying to talk about something positive. And it is a constant battle, because I don't want to be insensitive, but at the same time, I do want people to see that there is positivity, and it's been amazing to, like, the response that I've had, because I think people message me all the time saying, hey, it's really great to see your face in my feed every day, because I feel like it's, a bit of positivity that I can look forward to. And it's almost like guaranteed positivity, and like, there'll be days where I feel like crap, and I'll say like I'm having a bad day, because I want to be realistic. But on the whole, I would say part of what I'm trying to achieve in the world is to promote positivity and optimism at scale. So
Because it's, we talk about it a lot in businesses that, those times, everyone has a shit time. Everyone has those moments, but we always make sure that we illustrate to everyone that we know it's just a moment in time. Don't let it become a day, and don't let it become 2 days or a week or a month or a year, because that's when it becomes really disastrous. Allow yourself that moment. If you want to go and smash a cup on the floor, go smash the cup on the floor. If you want to go punch a wall, go punch a wall and get it out of your system, and then move on and look to that, what's the next beautiful thing that's going to be coming my way? What's the next amazing thing? Like, I wake up every morning, I think something amazing is going to happen today. And as soon as I say to myself that something amazing is going to happen, generally 5 to 10 amazing things will happen.
Yeah. And good on you for doing that, because it's not easy to get into that mindset. Like, it is quite challenging, but I think if you can do that and train your mind to think that way, you'll naturally attract more positivity, because you attract positive people,
Well, there's 2 roads to go down, isn't there? Like, I can be sitting here today and thinking, shit, my legs hurt and this is that, and I can already be talking myself into having a shit day tomorrow. Before tomorrow's even begun. Before I've even allowed myself to go through that process. Or I can be like, well, okay, I've had this shit moment. I'll move on from that shit moment now. Or if I can't move on from it, drags on, do something about it. But then tomorrow, start fresh.
Yeah, exactly. And, I read the Ride of a Lifetime, which was by Bob Iger, who's the CEO of Disney. And that's a really good business book.
I saw your post on that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's amazing. But he had this great quote, and he goes, no one wants to follow a pessimist. And it's so true. It's like, no one wants to, work their butts off for someone who's really negative and is not, I guess, optimistic about the future. So, as much as we have to be realists, we still have a responsibility as leaders to be creating a culture and contributing to a community of optimism, because that's really what's going to help pull us through this time.
Through being optimistic, you can create change, right?
You
create change within yourself, you create change within your community, within your business, whatever it is. So that optimism, because if you're not creating change, you're becoming stagnant and you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's scary, because it's a dark road.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. I got one last question for you. And this is a question we ask everyone.
I don't even know how much we've been talking for. We've been talking for hours.
I think we're over an hour.
Like, oh my God, I've been editing this for 10 hours.
Josh loves it. So the most important question that we ask everyone is, what is your favorite pasta?
Oh my God, what an amazing question. But how is one supposed to decide that when?
It's tough. It's very It's a debated, it's very
That's harder than choosing your favorite child, I would imagine, that question.
Pasta comes before children.
Yeah, agree. Okay, so we've definitely bonded over pasta. So this is Jesus Christ, this is a hard question. Look, I do struggle to go past a good slow cooked bolognese. Pasta has to be fresh though, if I'm being really pedantic, and it has to be cooked al dente, and it has to have that parmesan that's like in those flakes, not that little tiny ground.
So you like the shredded style parmesan?
Yeah, like the big flakes of it, and I like a shitload of parmesan. Like, one of those people who's like a tiny bit of cheese. I'm like, I want the whole wheel. Like, just put the whole wheel on. It's
just
like,
if you're in a restaurant, mate, you're staying there, and you just bring it on. Keep going.
It's like when they do, like, is that it? Just let me know when to stop. And I'm like, it was like an hour later. I'm like, keep going.
They're coming. So what type is it? Like a nice thick pappardelle pasta, or is it linguine, or it's a nice thick strap one?
Yeah, nice thick pappardelle. Yeah, that's it for me. What's yours?
Mine is definitely, I toss up between gnocchi and lasagna.
Oh yeah, I do love a lasagna.
Yeah, you can't go past that. And it's always like a birthday for us. It's always, birthday lasagna, Christmas lasagna. So there's always, that special feeling when you get a lasagna, like, it's so good.
That's really nice. That's actually it's such a great way to have lasagna. It's almost like a special occasion food, so you feel good about it.
We have it in between special occasions as well, quite a bit.
Everyday lasagna and then special occasion lasagna with like a sandwich or something.
Yeah, but no, I'm with you on the pappardelle with like a beef ragu or something like that is just amazing.
I had bolognese actually last night, but I think I do like a good meat to veg ratio. So for me, I don't like too much meat. Like I'm not a massive meat eater, but I do like a little bit of meat, and it has to be mixed. So it can't just be beef. So like maybe have pork and veal in it. But yeah, I actually had that for dinner last night, and now I feel like having it for lunch.
I feel like having pasta. I had pasta with beans for lunch on Sunday, and I had it for lunch again yesterday, and I feel like pasta again tonight. I could live on it.
I just could eat pasta my whole life. Like this is a whole other podcast topic, the joys of pasta, but it's just such a good comfort food. Like, don't you reckon sometimes like on a Saturday night or a Sunday night, like I just want to absolutely stuff myself full of pasta. So I'm ready to take on the week. Like it's such a fueling food for me. And I think it's because I came from a swimming background. Like I used to always have pasta, before races.
Yeah. So, well, this is the thing, right? Where I was talking to Ange, my friend last week, who runs Organic Empire, and we're talking about, certain foods and what's good, what's bad, And I said, okay, but what about, when you're having a food like that, the loving nourishment? And she said, absolutely. She said, there's benefits for you for eating a food that you absolutely love. The things that it does to your body is just amazing.
Yeah.
It's almost like releasing endorphins. So, if you love it, eat it.
Oh, trust me, I do. Like probably too much in ISO. This is why this is cut off here. ISO weight down there.
Yeah. I think everyone's the same out there. The gyms are going to be packed by the time we all get out of ISO, and everything's going to be booming. But Lisa, thank you very much for joining us. We could have kept going for ages and ages and ages, and look forward to catching up with you in person.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor, and I love what you created with the podcast and just your community of positivity. There needs to be more people like you in the world, because the world will be a much better place.
Thanks very much. Just there's been more of us.
Probably not me. I think the world's probably just one of the shares fine.
Oh no, you're pretty infectious.
Thanks, Daniel.
Thank you. Good, Joshy.
Awesome stuff.